This episode of Scab Talk is brought to you by Lethal Gaming Gear. And welcome back to Scab Talk, everyone. Today's episode, we're going to be catching you up on the Tarkov news that we do have for you this week. Yet again, another light week, but we got plenty of other topics to talk about as well. We got Steam Autumn Sale. I did a little bit of R&D/research, so I got some games to share with you to be on the lookout for during the sale. Mirror Meta MPX Edition. Then we got boss hunting, some bugs of various kinds, as is tradition in Escape from Tarkov. And then maybe towards the end, I'll talk a little bit about Half-Life.
Awesome stuff. Yes, another light, quiet week. It's been a very strange week, actually, in many ways, because I think so. I ended up, because I didn't play right around when the new Matchmaker came in. I couldn't get like my own handle on what people were saying, whether that was like true or not, as to whether things felt like quite quiet. Because a lot of people were saying they were getting just dumped into quiet raids, and lots of people have been saying that it's been super quiet. And I played this week, and I do play, I play like off hours anyway. I play like afternoons EU, so, US hasn't really got up. It's like not evening anywhere particularly, except over in Asia. And obviously the people there are not playing on our servers because of ping. So it's, it's a quieter time in gaming just in general. But I never really struggle particularly. But this week it's been quite quiet on the servers.
Really?
I will tell you, it really has. Yeah, I mean, we were kind of joking partway through, saying like it wasn't even like someone said, "Oh, it's like you're playing PvE," and I was like, "It's definitely not like I'm playing PvE, because on PvE there's like AI everywhere." I was like, there's no scavs even. There's like nothing here. It's like I'm playing offline mode, with the bots turned off or something. I was like, you can never normally sprint around on customs like this. Like I didn't see. It makes me wonder about like some of the spawning logic and stuff like that, because I didn't see any adjacent spawns. Like normally, there's the classic spawns you run into if you're on the various maps, right? If you're on customs and you spawn by the hill by old gas station, or like new gas station, sorry, for Charlotte, there's like somebody who spawns further up and you like tend to meet or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like a few different spawn points where you're going to cross, but I didn't see anybody. So it does make me wonder whether there's this kind of effect of, you go from 8 players on a map to 4, and that means you just don't see anyone, or whether there really was nobody. I think it's hard to disentangle. Is it the matchmaker's fault? Is the matchmaker getting into raids quicker, and so it's more efficiently using the servers, so people are into
that's
like
right,
raids just kind of on their own?
Because they did a matchmaker update,
exactly, yeah, and it is pretty quick. I will say it is quite fast. I think our record from button press into the game was Factory, and I don't have the number to hand, but from my memory, it was like 1 minute 17 seconds or something.
Okay.
Which is it's pretty speedy, but it's also pretty speedy when you load into an offline raid on your own. Just saying. So I don't know, like, is it just like not adding other PMCs? Like that may be part of the reason. That I'm not really sure, but it was super quiet this week. The only maps that I really found anybody, like I usually could find, like we're sprinting around the map, just like going full Chad, because there didn't really seem any reason not to, because there was nobody there. I wasn't just getting shot all over the place. I could usually find normally one other player, usually. Yeah. But after that, there was just no one else. So, maybe there are 4 people. Who knows? I think it's like a lot of things. I think it's partly, a lot of players are playing other games. And so Stalker 2 has come out, and lots of people are playing that. You got the new Grey Zone test, which people are playing, or the patch, not even test, just like the actual patch. It's got people playing Breakout. I think is a Delta Force thing going on right now? I'm not 100% sure.
I also don't know.
Between these different things and the end of the Zombies event, it's just been super quiet. But yeah, then this matchmaker thing might have just been the cherry on top, which means very slightly less PMCs in raids. You can imagine at the end of the wipe, like they're not. Yeah, they're renting all these servers. They're not giving servers back. So I can imagine a situation where, when the wipe happens, it's like the servers are kind of overloaded and it's really busy. But at the end of the wipe, I mean, maybe they do scale. I don't know anything about their infrastructure, but you can imagine they probably have extra server space. So if the matchmaker becomes more efficient, or is more prone to starting a game early to get people into games quicker, you can imagine a situation where there is less people on the map. And I don't know, it's interesting, because it is sort of better for new players right now, because you can kind of just like go
Yeah.
around, do your thing, and like quests
Yeah.
and stuff. I've seen like some new players actually enjoying the way it is because of that. Like you're not just getting stood on constantly. It doesn't feel like the usual end game. Like you go on customs, as I said, you go on customs, pre-pain, and then I'm just like sprinting around, sprinting to gas station, up to fortress, across to dorms, and like maybe we'll see one person at one of these locations. Maybe I didn't see anybody at gas station at all the whole like in 2 days.
And
I
then
saw.
I'm curious, when you find them, are they like high level or what's going on? What's that vibe like?
You know what? That's a good question, actually. I would say there are a couple of high-ish
Like,
level people, but most of the people I'm
are
running
they
into are like,
also sprinting around?
no,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the only high-level player on the map most of the time, in
Okay.
my hours anyway. So, oh wait, where are the rest of these gone? I don't know, but like the last, when were these from anyways? This was from, yeah, that was yesterday. That was yesterday. That was the 25th. Okay, so yeah, so this week from the 25th,
Mm-hmm.
the dog tags here is like 23, 20, 53, 44, 44, 24, 33, 33, 15, 34, 21, 410. So it's a lot of like out of most of the dog tags that are here,
Yeah.
only 3 of them have max traders.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of trying to gauge as well. Yeah.
So
So,
yeah, it's interesting. I guess the people who are kind of end game, because a lot of the end game stuff is not really working. People have gone off to do other things, and so people who are still just like trundling up through the game and playing normally and getting max traders or whatever are still
mm-hmm.
playing and are probably enjoying it because there's less actual like PvP.
Right.
I've had quite a lot of people in chat being like, oh, I'm new to the game and I've literally just found your channel. And I was like asking people like, what did you look for? Somebody was searched YouTube for M4 meta build. Apparently, that's how they got to me. And I was like, okay, interesting. It's interesting like seeing the little like data points, right? Because you can only
Yeah.
from the top down, you see it from like the top level, like number of views and then views on each video and then what type of
Right.
traffic and where, which location and stuff. So to actually then like speak to an individual person and be like, how did you actually end up finding me? It's like actually quite interesting on its own.
Super valuable.
So yeah, so that's kind of the vibe of Tarkov right now. I'd say it's just like kind of quiet,
Mm.
which is fine. It's okay. I mean, we did a lot of talking to chat
I
that,
mean,
but it's
do you think it's possible that because the first thing that comes to mind is like, oh, they're just matching games faster? Like, is there any what's the community vibe on that? And like, how do you feel about that?
Well, a lot of people think that it's to do with the matchmaker. I've seen tons of people blaming the matchmaker, but I mean, we don't really know.
Yeah,
But I
of
think that's
course.
definitely kind of what I said before. I think that's a valid approach because if you've got capacity for 5,000 raids or something and only 3,000 are being used and you update the matchmaker so that it gets people into raid when they're not full necessarily or even just quicker, just more efficient
Yeah.
matching,
Yeah.
or those 5,000 might now be full, but that's spreading the player base across from 3,000 raids up to 5,000 raids. So you've got like 60% less people in each individual raid, but it's starting the raid sooner. It's kind of hard to know where we stand on it, right? Because like the newer the player you are, the more you like it because you can just get stuff done without getting killed. The more of an experienced player you are,
Truer.
the less you like it because the less PvP there is, and it's kind of more dull, right? Because there's not really anything else to do. Also, you're
Right.
more likely to be doing. You might even just be doing PMC kill quests, which are hard to do when there's no players.
Yeah, that is very true.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I think I think it's a mix of all these things. I mean,
Yeah, makes sense.
because of the way that the player, like in my mind, like this is my hypothesis,
Mm-hmm.
is that because the player base is lower, there is actually more server capacity. So there is actually greater
Yeah.
potential to spread the number of people out across more servers. If it was in the wipe, and they're like, oh, we got this new matchmaker. It's like, okay, well, you can get into raids faster, but like you're actually most of the time waiting for a server to spin up
Right.
because there aren't
Right.
enough.
Yep.
Whereas at the end of the wipe, there's like going to be plenty of capacity for servers, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
And I would
if you're getting
imagine,
people in, 40% quicker, then it means that there's
right.
40% more raids happening. You know what I mean? Like this, I'm sure
Yeah.
there's something there. I'm sure there's something there.
Yeah, because I also wonder if they're just like, all right, it's in a wipe. Let's, you know, shut down a few servers or whatever, and blah blah blah. But then they're like, let's change the algorithm to like prioritize getting people in the matches
Hmm.
quicker over like getting fuller lobbies. Because I think Pastili said in the past, like after the like Q like Shoreline Night or something, this was like quite some time ago, so probably like right
Yeah.
around when Tarkov was like popular, or like I think he was actually talking about the past before it was popular. But anyways, you would just like wait for a couple of minutes, like two or three, and then you would like load in, right? Like it would be like waiting for, searching for players or waiting for players, and then it would just like skip and load in, and there would be no one on the map like every time. So I wonder if like they changed it to where like instead of like it prioritizing getting players in, because I think what Pastili was inferring was that there was like a window where it was like after X amount of time, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, it doesn't find a single player, just put them in the game, right? So I wonder now
Yeah.
if they're like, okay, let's instead prioritize like speed over player count in the um servers,
It's
as well
possible.
as all the other contributing factors. But
Yeah. It's certainly possible. Yep, I don't know, but we'll just have to see as time goes on. I'm sure they're looking at it and identifying, but yeah, there's I know Jesse Veritas talking about this a lot on the podcast side, and like some of the takeaways there. Well, some of the another more potential hypothesis was that once you go from a certain number of players, like you can change from, you don't even have to go from like 10 players to one player or zero other players or whatever. You can go through like quite a fine threshold of 6 or 7 down to 4, and like that would then make the game feel empty because you're twice as
sure.
far apart. You never see anyone at spawn. Like you only find one other player per match. Like it's like the more players you add, it's like that weird birthday thing. I'm gonna have to find out what this is now. So like birthday, it's not paradox. It's like, or maybe it's not really. It's the birthday problem. This is the one. So it's about like the way that we think about things, and this stuff is like non-linear. That's kind of the way this thing is. So the birthday problem basically says, what's the probability that with a set of randomly chosen people, 2 people will share the same birthday? And the birthday paradox refers to the counterintuitive fact that only 23 people are needed for that probability to exceed 50%. So you have 23 people in a room, there's a 50% chance that 2 people will share the same birthday. And it's because stats are weird, right? And like the human brain's not
That
very
is
good at dealing with
weird.
stats. It's almost a bit like that, where like if you have like 2 people in a raid, you're never going to see each other. And if you've got 4 people, you might see one person. But if you have 8 people, you're going to see like a billion players. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like there's so
Yeah.
many people. It's like
Oh,
it's
I
almost like
see.
an
I see.
exponential thing, right? It's like there's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
because people are just tripping over each other. Like every spawn point is full. Like everyone's going to have a fight off spawn. Like it's just
Right.
crazy.
And plus, too,
Um,
I feel like the spawns don't really use any spawning logic necessarily. Like they're just like, in my opinion, it feels like they're largely random. Like in other words, if like it's like, okay, we're gonna assign a player here, and then that means we shouldn't assign a player here, and
hmm.
then, but they don't do. I feel like anyways they don't do any of that. So it's just like one raid, it's just like chaos at the spawn, and the next raid it's like game's dead, rip.
I'm sure there's some logic, but actually, if there was some logic, it would almost make it worse. If they're like, let's make sure, it depends on how it's done. If they were like, let's make sure everybody is spread out as far
Mm-hmm.
apart as possible, when the game gets a bit quieter or there's less people in the raid, then you'll never have anyone in the spawn next to you ever. So
Yeah.
even though that's normally a critique of the game, it just feels different, right? So you're like,
Mm-hmm.
I never see anyone now. Like there's no one here. You have
For
four
sure.
people and everyone starts in each corner of the map. One goes to pier, one goes to
Yeah.
resort, one goes around the edge. You just don't see anybody. So yeah, I don't know.
One's camping their
I'm not
spawn for
sure.
5 minutes because they're terrified.
And they're level 3 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I don't
They're
know.
just like crouch walking the entire segment of like cottages, and no one's in there for like a mile,
I
two
remember
mile
those
radius.
days.
Oh yeah, for
I remember
sure.
those days.
It's just so
God,
funny
you'd
to
like
think about.
you'd kill somebody in just by chance, basically. Like you just so happen to hit a lucky shot, and then you go over to their stuff, and it's all like unidentified. You're like, I've never seen any of this equipment before. Like this is
Oh
crazy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, those were the days. That was a long time ago now. It was a long time ago. No, it's good though. It's good. No, I don't know. So yeah, the game itself is in a bit of a funny spot. In terms of news, there's not been a great deal there. There was a video that Nikita posted. There's only really one interesting thing in it. It's just like random background stuff. So it's just fun to watch. But there was one screenshot within there, which is of what looks like the updated hideout potentially. I'm actually gonna have to go and check. I never did a one-to-one comparison. Yeah, so if you go in, I'm in my hideout right now, and it's like tiled flooring. But on the screenshot that they showed, the floor has got like oak wooden floor, and the walls are, I don't know exactly. It's hard to tell. It's some kind of like
Oh,
paneling thing.
you're talking about
Yeah,
this
you got the video.
screenshot?
You got the video up. Yeah, it's a bit further than that. I think it's
Oh, a
just
bit
like a little
further.
snippet within the video. Yeah, I think it's just after this. It's there.
Oh, there's a brick wall update.
Yeah, so it's definitely
It looks
different. So the
nice.
walls are different in some way. Whether that's cosmetic or whether it's just like the hideout is different, I don't know. Because we're expecting to see hideout. Oh, well, what did he call it? He called it something specific. It was like
Hideout cat.
hideout customization. That was it. So maybe the hideout cat comes with that. I don't know. But this is the first time that we've seen the hideout look like kind
Ah,
of different. Everything else looks
interesting.
sort of the same, but the flooring is definitely different
Yeah, the
because you don't
flooring
have
and
that flooring right
walls,
now,
and even the
and the walls are
ceiling.
different too. Maybe the ceiling's different too. What's the ceiling look like inside? Oh yeah, it looks like really scuffed, but it's like
Yeah,
much smoother.
this
Someone's
looks
you
very
got
pristine.
paid for the Russian plasterer to come and do your hideout for you.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Skins, hideout skins. Let's go.
Kind of, yeah, kind of. It's like exactly that. Um, what else? There was a there was a funny post which was again from our favorite lead artist Elvis Vista, and he posted like where was it? It was like I thought it was something else, but it just was called Well, and there was basically a picture from streets, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like a joke or something because there's like a whole bunch of radiators outside on the wall.
I see that. Wait, is that actually
Yeah,
in the
but
game?
I apparently, I mean, I've not actually looked, but I guess so. But then there's a second follow up picture of I don't know something, which may be a popular show or something like that. I don't really know.
Yeah,
So maybe it's just like a meme or whatever. Because they put lots of like Easter eggs and all sorts of things on the streets. Like we see more and
right.
more. A lot of them, like I just don't even know what they are. But if you follow this guy's page enough, you'll see there's like loads of stuff they've got in the game, which is, you know, uh, celebrating this person or that person, or it's a piece of art they did for fun or whatever. And they've like just got loads of these things in game. So a lot of them won't even make that. You wouldn't notice
Right.
if somebody didn't point them out and say like, "Oh, this is why this is here."
It
Got
is funny because, like, man, now I gotta know. I feel like I would have distinctly noticed radiators sticking out because they're not just like radiators on a building, like outside of a window. They're radiators outside of a window, but mounted on their sides to where they're sticking out on their longest part. Right? They're not
Yeah,
like
this
flush
is
against the wall.
exactly. This is by the new transit to labs on streets. I'm gonna go and
Hmm.
have a look.
Yeah, that'd be
I'll go and
good.
have a look and see if it is like that. This is definitely something that I would not have noticed. Although this is the work in progress shot, so
That
maybe they changed it.
yeah,
I don't
that
know.
does have that there. Yeah, yeah. Because now I'm instantly thinking like, can you mantle that? Mantle?
Can you imagine? That'd be good.
Remember when this is just gonna be the nostalgia cast for Tarkov. Remember when you
Remember when
mantle
the game was good when we were little Timmies and we actually enjoyed playing? No, I joke.
remember when mantling first came out and we were just like, if you ever seen The Office in the States version, there's a skit where, they're all obsessed about parkour. It's actually just like an opening skit, like a cold open.
Hmm.
And then they're just like parkour, and he's like jumping onto the couch and stuff. And like parkour. We were like that for mantle. We were like mantle, just like try to mantle everything and anything.
Yep. Okay. I think so. let's just talk about the thing that's just turned up today then, because I mean, I guess it's news, so we may as well say. So BSG in regular Scav Talk tradition have released some content for us to talk about during the cast, just beforehand or during, which is always nice. And they have released a bosses event. It's 100% bosses event, so nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy, but it's just 100% bosses on each map. So you need to still go to the various maps that the bosses spawn on to actually go and kill them, but they're there 100%. And so the actual newspaper, Axel did a translation. It says apparently the title is "More Volatility: The Hunt Begins." It says witnesses say that Tarkov authorities, which is the bosses apparently, are at their locations 24/7. The real reason for that remains unknown, and that's all it says.
Sussy.
Yeah. So 100% bosses, which I honestly could I could have done with all week, given I was trying to like the timeline. I can't remember what I was doing last time. Was I actually doing this quest previously? I don't remember, because like the way that this has gone is, go through the levels, get to wherever. I've just kind of been playing the game and just practicing with different stuff and completing the quests I want to complete here and there. And then tried to go and do Lightkeeper, but can't do Lightkeeper because Lightkeeper's bugged for everybody. You can't get past. I think I must have talked about this last time. No, you can't get past the getting acquainted, so you can't find the V3 flash drive, so you can't actually get to Lightkeeper himself. So I was like, fine, I'll do the bosses, like the Big Pockets quest line instead, which is the one where you have to kill dudes with the 20 size bag or something, and then you have to do Circulate, which is sell Ragman a billion bags over like 5 or 6 trader resets, because it's just annoying. It's like 250 bag sales. Then you have to get the Goon backpack rig and armor, which now is it's actually a lot easier than last time, because you can do it with the scav circle thing, the cultist circle. So all the ones I needed was Sanitar's bag and Tagilla's rig, which I did. And then after that, you have to go and kill 5 bosses of any kind, any boss you like, but you have to be wearing the Goon stuff. So you have to either be wearing Night or Big Pipes rig, or the LCBR Goons Edition armor, one or the other. And oh, goodness me. Just like going around trying to find the bosses when they're only 30%, even when it's so quiet, it's just so brutal, honestly. It's just so brutal. Like I spent literally like 2 full days trying to find and kill various bosses. And there's this server theory where the 30% chance, because like BSG never actually says, it does go onto the wiki, but BSG never actually says. And it's like people say that there's a 30% chance that the bosses are spawning on a particular server, not a 30% chance that the boss spawns in a particular raid. But the thing is, if you're on auto servers, it shouldn't matter, and I'm always on auto servers. Anyway, that aside, the 30% chance just doesn't really feel like sensible a lot of the time. I spent like 2 full days running it. I did kill Sanitar and Tagilla to get their items, and then after that, I saw Tagilla once. And after that, I did like a full stream, and the only boss I saw was Gluhar one time, and I got killed by a grenade because I ran and I tried to get over, but it didn't jump, and I ended up in a hole, and then I got naded by a silent nade, which was really annoying. But I like ran streets again and again. I swear that Kollontai is just he's a ghost. He just doesn't exist. I don't know how many times I've ran both like MVD and the Klimov Trading Center, and he's just not there. It's just absolutely just bonkers. So yesterday I was doing customs. I managed to I found Rishala 3 times on customs, and I killed him every time I found him. But it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal trying to find these bosses. So 100% boss spawn event is really what I could have done with at the start of the week, to be honest with you. But it calls into question more about this whole like boss finding thing, right? It's like so important in the game because it's a requirement for so many different quests, but it's so painful in an awful way, which we talked about this previously when you were doing Kappa, just trying to find the goons and just finding them and getting there and being the first person there. It's just so difficult, right? And we had lots of brainstorms and chat about what to do about this, like different mechanics you could have to influence the boss spawn rate at least, because you wouldn't want to necessarily do it all the time, but you would kind of want to influence it in some way so that you've either got like a higher chance of them spawning, or you have some information about them, or whatever, right? There's like lots of different ways you could do it. Some of the simplest that was suggested, which I thought was quite a good idea, was to have increased boss spawn chances on like certain maps that just like rotates around. So you could kind of do it like that. You could go, oh look, the boss is spawning here, so we can go to this map, and it would sort of help drive people towards different maps. Just have them on rotation, so it's a higher chance for, say, it's like 50% chance for like a particular boss on one map, and then it moves to shoreline or customs or factory or whatever. There's like more complicated stuff where you could go and do a quest, and then it like forces a spawn on a particular map, or something you can buy that tells you where the boss is going to be, gives you more, greater chance of getting it. I don't really know, but like the way it is right now, like with no real chance of influencing it, it's just not very good. It just isn't good. And like I've only felt it in a small way doing these quests. And yeah, I can see how people just go insane. I don't know how anybody gets the tracksuit, because it would just drive me completely nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Boss hunting
hacking
is
away.
draining.
I've literally yeah, it is. I've got literally like one more to go, because I killed Together one time as part of this group, and then 3 Rishala kills. Unfortunately, like the one time that I went into dorms, there was somebody at the other end, and they sprayed down the corridor, and they managed to kill literally just Rishala.
Oh, that sucks so much.
I was like, what is the chance of that? Like, what the hell? I like went around and killed them, and they're like level 20 or something, but they just like sprayed down the dorm's hallway and just killed just Resh. Because I went through and cleared them afterwards and was like, what? Because I went to like beeline this guy. I was like, we're going to have a fight first. Just I'm trying to minimize the chance of like somebody else killing this guy. But yeah, unfortunately got to him first. It's like really annoying. But yeah, no, I don't know. It's a bit problematic. But this kind of like leads me into another bug. By the way, just to jump back to the other topic, those outside radiators are actually not there in the current iteration.
I feel like I would have noticed that, so I'm glad that's the case.
I don't know if I would have, but yeah, they are not here. It's interesting to know. But yeah, so this like kind of leads me into another one, which is, okay, well, how do you influence the boss spawn rates? And okay, well, you can't influence the rate itself, but the other most important part of the whole boss finding experience is where you spawn, right? Like, depending on the boss, that can matter. So if you want to go and kill Sturman, then you know exactly where he's going to be. If you want to go and kill, it depends on which map, but if you want to go and kill Gluhar, he can kind of be anywhere. So depending on the boss that you're trying to fight, spawn actually matters. And with the new transit system, there is now a way to influence your spawn. Because when you transit into a map, you spawn close-ish to the corresponding transit. So you can basically influence the spawn point that you get by transiting back and forth between different maps. And so I tried to do this for Kollontai by basically going to, I think it's Ground Zero from Streets. You can go to, yeah. So it's Ground Zero to Streets. We all know it's the only place you can go from Ground Zero, right? Now you can only go to Streets, and it's through that. You go behind the van and then you sit there. But if you go from Ground Zero to Streets now in this newer iteration, you spawn somewhere by Relaxation Room somewhere. Usually for me, it usually is like down by the theatre, but it's still quite close to Kollontai. It's a lot better than spawning over by Concordia. So if you're playing on Streets and you're trying to find Kollontai in particular, which is what I was doing, then you can use the transit from Ground Zero to make sure you get there. And then you can transit back to Ground Zero using the actual transit point on Streets, which is next to the MVD building. So you're naturally there anyway, because you're trying to kill Kollontai. So you can kind of go MVD over to the Klimov Trading Center, back again through the transit to Ground Zero. You can technically, because he is there as well, you can technically have a quick look around on Ground Zero and then go back through the transit back to the side of the road which has the relaxation room on it. So it's like you can kind of specify, and it was Ida who kind of gave me this idea to transit back and forth, because you now don't spawn anywhere random on either side. You're like near the transit no matter what. So it's almost like, I don't know, how can I describe it? So it's almost like it's like the way it used to be when you spawned on one of the asymmetric spawn points. So if you're on Shoreline and you're on the Path to Lighthouse side, you're like, oh well, I can just like go in, do something, and then just leave straight away. Except now, when you take it as a transit, you spawn on like the corresponding other sides. You're still close to the transit, so you can kind of just go back and forth. like really easily because you're always near it. Like you don't spawn randomly on any map now. So if you take a transit, you're always near ish where you transited in, which means you can also transit back because they're, except for the factory to labs one, they are kind of both ways. So it's certainly interesting doing it that way. Even doing that, I didn't find anybody. But then this then works into one of the bugs that is most irritating, which is, we were talking about spawn logic before, and this kind of wraps all of this up quite nicely, is that there is no spawn logic, it seems, for transits. So you can just spawn in, and this has been known for a bit, right? But you can spawn in with a regular player, somebody else. And I had that happen to me 3 times this week, which is quite bad.
I do remember you talking about that in the past, but like a lot of these things, I kind of just assume they fix them, like the following week or weeks.
Yeah, exactly. And like, because I was using the transits a lot, because I haven't used them much really. I used them here and there to do this and that. But now that I've been using them a lot to try to get into the right place to do the boss kills, and I'm going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, it actually ends up happening quite regularly. I wouldn't say like it's not every raid. It's not even half of raids. I would say it's more like, well, I mean, how many raids did I do a transit on? I got it 3 times. I probably did like 30 transits in total. It's probably about 10%, but it's still quite high. And the issue is, there's so few people doing transits, right? It's not exclusively transit people. The transit mechanic appears to be, so if 2 people are just spawning in normally, it obviously doesn't happen, right? So the transit mechanic has to be introduced in order for it to be a problem. But the issue is that because you can spawn in with somebody who's not transiting, they are not ready. They're just like loading into a regular raid. Whereas as a transit person, you're just like, you see the countdown, you're just like, I'm ready for a 5-meter fight, like right at the start. And so
oh, that's so crazy.
Most players are not ready to be fighting you instantly. Whereas like as a transit person, because I don't know what the chances are as a regular player, right? It must be like, how many people are transiting per 100 raids? Maybe 1, right? It's got to be really, really low. And then for it to happen like 1 in 10 raids where you transit, it's going to be like 0.1% that you actually get lumped in with somebody at the spawn points. It's quite rare. But if you're transiting, because it happens quite often, you're sort of like thinking about it and like kind of ready. Whereas that person is like 1 in 1,000 raids, just like not ready. Maybe they can count themselves lucky, got 1 in 1,000 raid chance to get spawn killed by me. But no, it's brutal. And I've obviously just been like throwing people's gear like behind stuff or whatever, just like pick it up and then just throw it away. So I'll get it back in insurance because it's just stupid. But it's just such a waste of people's time, right? And it's really is an unforgivable kind of bug to be in. It's one of those things that you would hope that they would like hot fix. Because like progression is annoying, but like this kind of thing is a bit like invisible players. But like I haven't seen them acknowledge it. I haven't seen them talk about it. Like they don't seem to have any interest in fixing it before the wipe, which makes me a bit sad. Actually, makes me a bit sad. But yeah, it sure has been a thing. Like everything's been interconnected. It's just like, oh, low boss spawns. Okay, well, we'll fiddle around with our spawn point then. Oh, okay, well now we're running into players at the beginning of raids. It's a very weird experience. And then, I mean, that's one of the players that was in the raid as well. So then the rest of the raid, you're like running around. There's like nobody there, and you're thinking, well, how many people are there left? Right? There was only 2 of us spawned in on top of each other and killed each other at the beginning. So maybe there's only 2 other players left on the whole map. Who knows? Who knows? But no, I think for the next wipe, I think there will be some interesting things to be done with the transits because firstly, you can easily hand in finding raid stuff through the transit and then technically carry on with like you lock yourself to that transit, but you can like hand some stuff in and then carry on with the raid. Right? Like a lot of the time, you don't necessarily care about that much stuff that's on you early wipe. You care mostly about like crafting items, the quest items, slayers, and all this kind of stuff. So you can go to the transit, you can dump all that stuff into the transit, and then you can actually go and carry on playing the raid if you want to. And then like go back, grab some more things, or go for PvP or whatever it is you might want to do. Go through the transit, and then either just extract, or you can go back through the transit again if you want to like hand even more items in, right? Because every transit you do, you can hand items through the hole, so to speak, back to your stash. So it's I think there's going to be some uses for it, and you can influence your spawn point with it, which for me is the most interesting part. Yeah. That's the interesting part. You can influence your spawn point. So if there's something specific you need to get done, and the streets is the worst for this, it's like you don't need to start at Concordia, right? You can go a different way, which is kind of neat. Oh goodness, but yeah, it's like it's a bit crazy. It is a bit crazy. Like the boss hunting itself I've actually found to be kind of okay. I think as long as you're taking the right gear, then it can be quite fun. I will admit I've been using SP6 a lot, and partly because I've been using it in Arena a lot. And I would say that has now translated. I'm actually feeling quite confident with those guns now, just because I've used them so much in Arena. And SP6 is extremely good. Like it's not a long range. It's not a long range weapon by any means, on ammo by any means.
But
just because the majority of the fights, like if you play in a certain way, like the majority of the fights happen under 50 meters, and it just destroys people. It does absolutely destroy people. Yeah. There was one thing though. So I had a strange fight on streets where I killed 2 people, and then the third guy like ran in through the doorway, and I was like, slightly surprised, and I was aiming. I was kind of like aiming, expecting them to swing the door frame, but they like ran in through the door, which is like really unusual. And I don't think they were quite expecting me to be where I was, and I wasn't really expecting them to be coming through in that way either. And so I was aiming a bit low, but they didn't start shooting at me straight away. But based on the number of hits, like I looked back and I was like, I wasn't that low. I was like aiming sort of around chest area, and they didn't die. I hit them like a billion trillion times. And I was like, that is so weird as well. Like with all, you get like a kind of heuristics after you've played with a certain gun enough, right? And with Arena, that's like triply so. You play with SP6 enough in Arena, you just kind of understand how long it takes to kill people at what ranges, like what's reasonable. And I was like, that guy should have been dead like 3 times over. And this week I got copied in on a Twitter thread from HyperRap about ballistics bugs, and basically he was testing some stuff because he'd kind of been suspicious of some I don't know, ballistics things, because he says like if my theory is correct, then it would explain like 10 plus hit counts with all types of hyper ammo. So like people are just not dying when they should be. And basically what he's testing on Twitter was the pure AP through the arm and then into a plate. And what seems to happen is that once the round has gone through the arm and then hit the plate, it doesn't seem to continue through to the chest for whatever reason. So the plate gets damaged and the arm takes damage, but maybe after the second, like, I don't know, after the second impact, it like stops working. Maybe the plate, like, it just disappears after the plate for some reason. Like, it's not calculated any further. I don't really know why. And as he says, like, this only happens when hitting the arm first and then a plate behind. So it's like ballistics bugs coming back. But I mean, that would kind of make sense because I was shooting this dude's arms a lot, right? Which should be blacked and he should have died. But just nothing was happening. And he took like an incredible amount of damage. So 338 the pure AP.
Armor.
Exactly, right? It just keeps coming back time and time again. But 338 pure AP should just one-shot somebody straight through like a class 4 plate through the arm, like no problem. But it doesn't. So it's interesting. Now, this is the one thing that I have seen where somebody from BSG has actually like noted that they're looking at it, which is good. So Applesaw said on that thread, I've asked the dev team to check on this case. If something is wrong, we'll work on it, kind of thing, which is good. But I don't know. It's a bit strange. So it seems to be like a hype end thing where you would expect it to go through, but it doesn't. So yeah, I mean, I haven't done any testing myself. I mean, I could look at it, but I'm not sure. I feel slightly fatigued about this kind of thing right now. Yeah. All right. What else was there? Was there like there was a proper stream of consciousness there about all the things going on at the minute and various bugs and whatnot. Now I have seen other bugs floating around. There was like one that was plaguing community a bit, which was a friendly guy posted it, and he like looked. I don't know what he did. Like he was just walking around customs, looking like in the buildings and whatever, and then all of a sudden, the half of his screen is just like skybox. It's just like half his screen's just like invisible, and it happened to him multiple times. Maybe this is fixed now, but I didn't have it myself. But he had it like a few times where like half the screen is just like empty sort of skybox through the like not there's like no map there. It's as if like all the entities have been deleted. Like really weird. Really super, super weird. So it's like there's just so much weird stuff going on right now, between that and then like, I can't remember whether we talked about, Jesse's findings with the audio where like some guns, even loud, you couldn't hear them from 100
I
meters
don't think.
away. Like he was talking about
Oh,
this in the podcast.
maybe
Yeah.
briefly. I mean, you did talk
Maybe
a
we mentioned it
little
briefly.
bit. Yeah.
It's just like, it's just so, it's just like, it's just so difficult right now, which is like a shame because I actually feel that, the weapons, like the actual balance of the game like, at the minute is actually quite good.
Hmm.
So it's like people are using lots of different guns, lots of different things feel viable. Not everyone's wearing class 6 armor, but you can get it in raid if you want to. I think like the actual game itself is feeling okay, but all of these other things like, oh, you can't do Lightkeeper and oh, the bosses are scuffed up, whatever. There's like no people on the map, and your screen might just split in two randomly, and like, oh, the high pen ammo is not working properly through armor plates, and the audio might not work for loud gunshots for certain guns. For this gun, yes, that gun, no, and it feels a bit strange. And then you might spawn in with another player and die literally in the first 2 seconds. Ah. Yes.
It's losing it.
Yes. Yes. We're sane. We're sane.
Losing it. Anything else?
Well, on my stream of consciousness,
Yeah.
before we turn our head to the MPX, there was one funny anecdote.
Yeah.
From the stream where, because as I said, there's been quite a lot of like new people coming in, and I was using the SR3M, and I got it to 92 durability, I think, and I was like, this is kind of rough now. Like, I don't know if I want to keep this. And so, I mean, how much is the SR3M? I just want to check. This is the new 9x39 gun, just for those of you who aren't keeping up with every single thing. So it's basically like a slightly improved version of the VSS or the Val, and it's 148k from Prepor just for the base weapon. And I was like, 93 durability. Like, I'm probably just going to throw that away. And like somebody in chat was just like, as a fairly new player, like watching you just throw away like 150k base gun because it's like 93 durability is like insane. I was just like, well, they were like, I get it. When you've got like 50 plus mil, it's like you don't want it jamming on you. I get it, but like they were like, it still hurts my soul to see you just like delete that thing, pretty much. It was quite funny. I was like, I know. I remember those days. It often comes down now as to like how lazy I'm feeling. Like the VSS I've got in my inventory, I'm literally staring at it right now. It's like 89 durability. I haven't swapped it out because I just can't be bothered to buy another one and put the stuff over it. But as I said to chat at the time, I'll definitely regret it if I get a jam halfway through trying to fight Rashala or something and then die. I definitely will be like, nope, I know I should have replaced it. Oh, goodness me. So, what's this week's meme or meta then?
Oh, right. I almost forgot about meme or meta. I almost completely forgot. I totally wasn't looking at Steam summer sales and adding more to my list. Anyways, meme or meta. Gosh, MPX. I don't know about MPX, Giga. I mean, I like it. I specifically
have you been a prolific user of the MPX in the past?
Yes.
Well, not so much. You have done.
But I can't say I've used it in the recent past couple of wipes. Like I think I did a bit, but I'm just trying to think no, I did use it during So I take that back. I do remember using it because during the auto the Rico rework, because specifically they added that new buy offer from, is it Mechanic or is it Peacekeeper?
For the long boy or which
one? There's a I like just out of the blue one update. They're just like, we're gonna add like a long purchasable MPX from one of the traders, which was just like,
it's like 84k. I think is it might even be Mechanic 2. I forget. It's either Mechanic 2 or 3, or maybe it is Mechanic 3. It's Mechanic 3.
Pull
but
up the old Tarkov
you get a suppressor and the long barrel, and
I mean, it's not my favorite. Oh, it isn't on the wiki. Would you say it was on Mechanic?
It was on Mechanic 3.
Okay.
Probably just comes up in the list as purchasable on Mechanic, I would guess.
Kinda, but I don't know. Yeah, like it isn't my favorite combination. Like I'm trying to remember if that stock is ideal or not. I think it is actually for MPX because it's kind of a decent one, if I
It's all right. The
recall.
CQB is like okay as a standalone. It's like quite good for Ergo. It's not the best of the best, but it's like cheap and easy to put on, so it's quite good.
Um, but yeah. Uh, anyways, no, I think feel like there's something more I was gonna say about that, but well, anyways, in general,
Hmm.
MPX. Like I remember, nostalgia is appearing again. When I first played Tarkov, I remember fighting someone and killing them and looting them, and they had an MPX, and it was like I mean, this was like early wipe on customs, and like as is new player experience, I died like minutes later to something else, but I did get to see it for a little bit, and it was like a pretty base. It was either a basic MPX or it was the one that you get from the barter. Is that
Um,
mechanic?
there is one,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I can't remember if it had the like I think they just had the like they didn't have the Bravo scope on it. The level 1 mechanic bar. It's basically the gunsmith quest one, right?
Yeah.
It has like a gunsmith part on it, and that being the foregrip, the forward shift. But it's something like that. And I was like, "Whoa, this is so cool!" And then later, I learned how crap the gun is back in that time period specifically. Because ammo was like everything, and recoil was like everything in the worst way possible. Um, but yeah, I don't know. MPX, like, what's your kind of vibes on it? What's the vibe check?
I I actually like the gun.
Hmm.
The problem with the MPX is that it's like 9 mil, right? That's the biggest issue with it. But I actually quite like the gun itself because it is it sits in this really nice sweet spot of fire rate and recoil and everything else. So it's slightly it feels slightly beefier than the MP5 because of the 850 RPM, but it doesn't feel quite as like crazy as the Vector
Yeah.
with 950. And the Vector does have more, a little bit more. Like they've all got low recoil, but the MPX is like really, really, really tiny. Um, it's just the and you can mod it out the way you like. But again, there's lots of stuff with the ballistic system that would need to be different for the MPX, I think, to actually be kind of good because there's not really any reason to use
It's a
the
longer
long one on the
one.
14-inch version.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they travel quicker, but like for the bullets that you're trying to put in there, it's a little bit like my
Right.
feelings about the single fire AKs, where it's like, oh, they kind of want to snipe, but the ammo doesn't really let you. Like it does now a bit more because now the ammo's been buffed a bit. But the two best ammos is AP 6.3, right, and PvP. And with PvP's damage nerf, it makes it really hard to use that thing. It's like just doesn't feel very good compared to the other SMGs. I don't know why they decided to do that, honestly, but it is a thing. So then you kind of like if you want damage, you still have to use AP 6.3, but then it's only 30 pen, and you only get 38, I think, out of PvP, either 38 or 39. I think it's 38. So
I
you
think
only
that's right.
just defeating class 4. It's like, oh, it just feels bad. And then the longer the barrel you put on, like we talked about this a bit last time actually, like the longer the barrel you put on and the faster it goes, the more damage it loses early because of the way that the speed drop off is like, it's ski slope kind of thing.
Hmm.
And the damage is tied intrinsically to that. So you'd need a system where damage gets buffed by the faster barrel. And I definitely think that this should be the case. But whether they're going to ever fuss with it, I don't know. But it needs to start at like a higher damage. Like every round, really, the way it should work is that every bullet needs to have a rated damage, a rated pen, and its base speed. And then if you fire it quicker than that speed, it needs to use the same calculation it does for drop off, but in reverse to give it more damage and more pen. It needs to just like follow the formula. And so that kind of is one of the main things that puts me off. Like I actually, my favorite build for the MPX is the MPX SD. I actually like that one a lot, and I just use it for close range stuff. So it's the one with the inbuilt
Yes.
suppressor, much like the MP5. So you have to use the MPX SD 165mm barrel, and then you get the special MPX SD suppressor, and then you just put one of the handguards around it, and that's actually quite good. It's short, it fires nice and quickly. Yeah, it's slow muzzle velocity, but you shouldn't be sniping with this thing anyway because of the way the damage drop off works. So I think you just lean fully into it and just fight people at 10 to 20 meters and just go with one of these builds, then go with the long boy, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is the build I prefer and like as well. Because you can buy. I'm trying to remember. It's been so long, but because one of the frustrating things about MPX is if you want to build one from scratch, the upper receiver costs euros from a
Does it?
trader. Yeah.
Oh, it does. It's mechanic in euros.
It's really annoying. Um,
I don't
but
think I've ever built one from scratch.
yeah, well, it's more like you buy if you do preset, let's say you get a preset and then you just hit find all parts, it will go and find all the parts for you and then build one,
Yeah.
So it's actually, I if I recall correctly, I think it's better to buy a pre-existing and then mod it from there. But then there's
Also,
another,
probably because they're cheap on the flea anyway.
yes. But then another layer to that is well, is it cheaper to just buy the Peacekeeper MPX that he sells that's already SDified, already integratively suppressed? So I think that's I think it's level 2 Peacekeeper, but it's locked behind a quest, I want to say. I think you have to
It's called
complete.
scrap metal.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yep.
I think you can make it at Peacekeeper 2, though. I think he has all the bits.
Yes.
You have an MPX lower. I think you can make the thing, but it just costs a bit more.
Yes. But yeah, I do in general. I even many wipes ago, I've kind of fallen into favor of the integrated suppress one, just because it feels pretty good. You get pretty good stats in terms of ergo recoil ratio. I mean, I would if I do I typically go for more budgety stuff. So what I like to do is I like the 41 rounder, just because it's just it's in this weird spot where it's not quite a 60 or 50 rounder, but you get you still have a check speed bonus. You don't lose that much.
I think the ergo difference is really tiny. It's one ergo less than the 30.
Yes, that's probably correct. Yes.
As opposed to 12. You lose 1 for the 41 and you lose 12 for the 50.
Yes, exactly.
So it's actually good.
Yeah, and the 50 has a load speed modifier, which is not fun, so it takes longer to pack the 50s. So I don't know. I just feel like 9 bullets for, what you're gaining is just so much value there. So I really like the 41 rounders. And then stock wise, I'm trying to remember, is it the QCB? It might actually be the QCB. I mean, I don't even know if that matters. I don't know if the stock really matters that much because you probably just want good ergo. So one of the standard stocks that comes with it is probably just going to be just fine. Because I feel
I think the CQB one is pretty good. You can buff it up more if you want to, but it doesn't matter so much. One of the things about it is that the integrated suppressor for the MPX is -5 ergo.
Yeah,
it's really,
crazy.
really low.
Yeah,
so it's way better than all of the other standalone ones.
Yep, it's very good. So I mean, yeah, it's just a game of picking from there. It's you could go, some slight upgrades, but I really just keep it simple, keep it. It's one of those guns I talked about last week. It's your questing gun, It's this thing's cheap. You buy the AP 6.3 from Peacekeeper, maybe even the flea market nowadays, because that's the thing you can do. And it shouldn't be that expensive, I would imagine. I don't know. I guess it would depend on early wipe or not. Um,
Definitely for
and
AP 6.3.
yeah, that might be a bit competitive. But if you can get it from reasonable price from the trader or the fleet, it doesn't really matter. And then yeah, I mean, you just put like cheap parts on there, and it feels pretty good. But the caveat is you gotta hit your shot, specifically the headshots. It's like, and even then, it's just. Mm, he's wearing a U-lock. I gotta hit their face.
Yeah, that's the worst part about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked at length last time about like the ballistic section to this, but if you're using the which one's this? Yeah, 165, which is slightly better. But yeah, even if you're using the best round in the game for this thing, which is like 1,200 rubles per shot, it's expensive. You're really only able to get through class 4 up to about 20 meters at most, and then you're not going to kill them either because of the damage reduction. So you have to hit them twice basically. It's just kind of rough. It's what puts people off a lot of these calibers, and it's why people end up using something because like that's fine, but it's just it doesn't really reach very far. I feel like maybe that is realistic for 9mm. I don't know, but then I mean maybe it could be a little bit cheaper. I just don't know. I feel like the damage nerf was maybe just too much for this thing. Like it wasn't. I don't know why they did it because it wasn't meta anyway. I don't think people were using PvP anyway. It just meant that it was kind of in line with other the other ones, right? And the other SMG rounds. Like how different is this from? I mean, it's distinctly worse than AP for 45. It's about the same as SS190 it was before, and now it's just like worse and has terrible drop off. Whereas like the 5.7 rounds are like pretty good on drop off. The same for the MP7, like the 4.6 HK rounds, they're pretty good. AP, it doesn't even matter because again they're super slow. They're actually amazing for drop off. They've got really high damage. So yeah, it literally doesn't even matter for those ones. I don't know. It's just like I feel like it's a bit lacking. It didn't need the nerf. Like it didn't need to take that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
the handling's good, right? The handling is one of the best in the game. So it's very low recoil. If you can hit your headshots, then it is great. Like I actually don't mind it. Like you could definitely get kills with it for sure. But it's just like you gotta hit the head. You gotta hit the head.
Yeah. I mean, and then the question is like, well, is this any better than like a MP5 SD? It's like, well, we're talking 50 more rate of fire, better ergo, I guess, is like one upside. Recoil's probably like basically the same, like practically the same at the very least. Like, I don't know, is this just like actually, I'd be curious price difference between the two. Just because sometimes Tarkov beware like that, but I
Yeah, I
don't
mean I like the
know.
MP5 SD as well. I think it's a cool gun.
Oh
But I just
yeah,
think the MPX just feels slightly better because
sure.
you just want like chances to hit head, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah.
But there's obviously a limit there where the vector's still good for that. But I feel like you can pinpoint a headshot more accurately with the MPX than you can with the vector just because of the fire rate. Like gets to a slightly unruly level, but the vector can work too. It can work too. We do have actually before we move on to that, I'm not gonna interrupt this for that. We'll talk about that in a second. There was I was just like playing around with it, and like rather than having the CQB stock on here, I just added like the Viper PDW, which is quite funny because that gets you. It's actually for these kind of guns, they're actually not too stupid. You lose 2 recoil, we get another 4 ergonomics. Doesn't really matter, but basically like a standard MPX. I didn't even put like a grip on it, and it's already at 86 ergonomics or something. I mean, these things are like super snappy headshotters if you want them to be. Like that is the one advantage about them. But obviously, that's kind of the same for any SMG. The
Yeah,
MP7 or the 45 Vector, they're all kind of in the same camp. Usually anyway.
usually.
I do think this thing probably does win out on ADS speed with a suppressor. Probably does because the suppressors make them slightly sluggish, a little bit, tiny bit. You can feel it versus being unsuppressed with like the MP7 and those guns. Whereas with this, you just won't. 86 ergonomics with a suppressor on, like it's insane.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm gonna personally give this one a bit of a meme hit. I really like it, but I just don't know if I could comfortably say meta.
Yeah, I think it's a meme because it has too many drawbacks, too many downsides compared to other similar guns. there's not really any reason to use it over anything else other than just entertainment and style. It's like not going to actually perform better than an MP7 with FMJ, for example, just because that's just going to so much more readily go through actual armor, and you can hit people slightly further away. The recoil on all these things is pretty low. And again, something like the 45 Vector, which I used recently, was just like absolutely insane in comparison to these guns. It just blows it away, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I think it probably is meme, but it's like not. It's not like fully just joke gun, but
right. It's not Mossberg 870. Short barrel, short pump action. It's not that level of meme, but it's a bit of a meme.
Yeah, exactly. So I was going to bring you the breaking news that we have a Nikki leak in the middle of the podcast. BSG got the memo and released some stuff for us to talk about. And we appear. Shall I send it to you? Is this just the latest thing that Nikita's posted? I'll send it across on Discord, maybe. Is that the easiest way?
Sure.
Probably. There you go. And it seems to be, I don't know whether this is just a joke or what they're doing. I know they mess around and do all sorts of stuff over at Battlestate. But it seems to be a basic model of the AK-50.
Oh my God.
Nikita has specifically tagged Brandon Herrera, the AK guy, who built the AK-50, which is a meme gun, for sure. As per people in the comments,
so this isn't a certified...
getting blown up by a 50 cal AK made in a shed. I don't know what this is.
Okay.
I don't know what this is.
I meant the AK-50 itself isn't a certified Kalashnikov.
Oh no.
Okay. Huh.
No. That's a Brandon Herrera creation.
Gotcha.
So he did the well. I don't follow him day to day or anything.
Right.
But I'm broadly aware of its existence and his creation of such a thing. I mean, to be fair, I think he's done a lot of testing on it, like making it actually work as like a fun thing. But yeah, that's the idea. Is that it's an AK style platform weapon that fires 50 cal bullets, which is pretty bonkers. But yeah, it looks like they've been modeling this thing for whatever reason. I mean, they could put it in as a joke, or I don't know really.
It would be a fun
sure.
hideout craft, and it's like it's just like a stupidly expensive hideout craft, but it's just like you craft it. It's just like some goofy, semi-auto AK sniper-esque. Not really sniper, but
Yeah,
it
takes like one of every AK in the game, and then the ammo you also then have to make out of like 338 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then you put it together, and it's like made in your garage. Just like it couldn't be practical necessarily to take it out, but
I've always thought that would be fun, having like hideout crafts that were like in the workbench and they were associated with like homemade weaponry. Like you make a homemade grenade. It's like it's cheap and effective to make, but it's a bit unreliable. Fuse time can vary. It just says that as a description.
That would be quite good, actually. Yeah, and sometimes they just don't go off and stuff like that.
Yeah, but you could get like a god. I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is highly controversial, but I think it would be interesting or like fun at the very least. But you have you have like the economy weapons, and they're like super unreliable, but like they have a chance to be god tier. It's like this can be an impact grenade, but most of the time it's going to be a dud. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see.
Maybe not that quite polarizing.
But you wouldn't know until you threw it, kind of thing.
Or you may just pull the pin and it blows up and kills you instantly. It's just like it's like
it's almost
exactly. It's just like the trials and tribulations for like the poorest of lowest tier of player. It's just like,
can you imagine fighting somebody and they're like behind the covers or whatever, and you just hear ding, poof, and they just explode behind a set of boxes or something? It would be so funny.
Yeah,
that would be so funny. Oh my goodness, that would actually be really good.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else you could do that's like somewhat bound in reality. Like, could you like bore out a particular barrel of a gun and then like put in a bigger caliber? You know, it's like, oh, now you have a. It's like you take 366 AK. And it's like you can make a
Yeah.
homemade real AK, but now the durability decrease is like significant. So after like two bags, just like constantly jamming, it's so unreliable.
Yeah, it's how we balance, M80 or whatever. I've just got a pole that fires something good, but it's just yeah, it's like not
It's just a
just
metal
terrible.
cylinder. Uh, it's like a musketeer.
Sounds like the Mosin, to be honest.
Yeah, good God.
The boomstick. Oh, that'd be funny though. Yeah, the homemade grenades or like homemade ammo, like high pen, but you get like jams or like they blow your gun up or something.
Homemade blood kit. Got a chance to like contract the virus when you heal. It's like a dirty
That's rough.
syringe.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough.
Uh,
Yeah, so much punishment and pain that can come to the game. Yeah, that'd be cool. I'm in for the homemade grenades. I think that'd be fun. Where they just don't go off half the time. That would actually be hilarious.
that would be
With like
hilarious.
a random, like 50% chance they don't actually go off with like a randomized fuse, but they're like really cheap to make. That'd be so funny. So yeah, AK-50. I don't know. Is it going to come in the game? It's just going to be random. Maybe they just got somebody to. I don't. Why would they post that though? Otherwise, maybe they've got these. Maybe they've got plans. Maybe they've got plans. Who knows? But I think they model all sorts of random stuff.
Yeah, I would be
Like half
surprised
this
if
stuff never ends up going in.
they, you know, worked with or contacted Brandon or whoever it was. So, wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so
Cool.
that's it for Tarkov. No more. Tarkov has been banned from Scav Talk.
Is it banned now? Is that
It's
it?
banned.
We're banned. I mean, that is it. That is it. There's nothing else, right? We got bosses, and then just going to be wait and see what happens over the next couple of weeks. So that's basically it. What have you got on the roster?
So
What's going on?
Steam Autumn Sale. As I close out all of my various windows.
Oh, Tarkov is on sale as well, by the way.
I said no more Tarkov gigas.
It's part of the Steam sale. It's not a Steam sale, but yeah. Tarkov's on sale. Grey Zone Warfare, the base edition is on sale. Not the extra versions, but the base version. Apparently it's going to be the cheapest it's ever going to be. I can't remember how much this is. Like $25 or something.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. It's quite cheap. It's quite cheap. As I've said like previously, I'm positive about the game in the long term, so it's worth picking up on the cheap now if you're like interested broadly. But yes, there's lots of other games that are coming up on Steam sale. Many games that I do not have time to play. Definitely don't have time to play. Please don't make me get interested in something that I don't have time to play because I'm already playing and want to play too much stuff that I just am never going to get around to.
Too late. All right. Yep. So Steam Autumn Sale from now to December 4th. And let me get my windows in order. Okay. So I had a few picks. I was telling Giga, but I didn't really get to finish and complete the list. And I may not been trying to finish it / complete it during some of the Tarkov segments, but nevertheless, let's start with the AAA category. You know this one, Giga. Boom. Satisfactory. On sale. Not that much, only 20%, but we've talked about it a lot, so I thought I might as well mention it. Because yeah, I know you were playing it with a group of friends. You had a lot of good stuff
we
to
never
say
ended
about
up
it.
Finishing it, but we never ended up finishing it more because people kind of like fell away from it, and then I started playing Factorio rather than anything else. I mean, how many hours did I have in it? I played like 55 hours. But I'll probably go back to it at some point. It's one of those games.
Yeah.
I'm not done with it. We'll go back eventually, but we did like 50-hour stint, and then and it was good. It was definitely good.
All right, new rule. I've also not only is Tarkov banned, Factorio is banned.
Hmm.
So chat. Uh, but no, seriously, yeah. And it's not about the destination. It's about the conveyor belts that we made along the way. Okay.
Pretty much.
Psychonauts 2. Okay, so may not know of this game, but it's made by Double Fine Studios. Psychonauts 1 came out many moons ago, back on like the original Xbox. Okay. And I think there's even a PC release. And I played it not too long ago, the first one, and because I remember watching like a video about it, and I was like, wow, this is like really good. I mean, okay, so it's like a platformer, and you play as this kid like character, but you're kind of like in the world of psychology slash brain stuff that's like personified, and it's
Right.
like it's like a surprisingly well built story with like really fun themes around like I'm trying to think one of the character there's like a character that's like effectively schizophrenic. Um
Hmm.
and he's like, the government's coming after me type of character. But it's like very I don't know, it does like a very good job um of just like showing these different, I guess, just like different types of people,
Hmm.
in like a very like fun way. I wish I could remember some of the other ones in the first one, but that's all that's coming to mind. So yeah, I don't know. I definitely want to play this one. Like the fact that it's on sale here in the States, 90%
Ninety
off. I
percent.
know, I know. I didn't even realize this came out in 2021 either. Like I feel like that I don't know. I feel like yeah, I don't know how I missed this. So yeah, probably going to end up buying this one personally just because such a like beautiful, like also just like really gorgeous looking game. Um, I mean the passage of time in terms of graphics has really helped this out a lot because back in the Xbox era, these similar art style, but definitely not the same type of graphic fidelity, right? So yeah, that
I feel like I
game.
recognize this, but like I never played it, but I'm sure I've seen it about.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it's like fairly. I don't want to say iconic, but it's got a bit of a cult following. I think it's a good way of saying it. Um, yep, AAA. Continuing that trend. Tomb Raider franchise. Whoa, $3 for. Is this actually right?
What does it even give you?
I thought this was more like $9. I don't know if this is accurate because it might be showing the discounts for me. Yeah, because I think I already have. Yeah, I think this is like actually
Oh, I see.
$15. But nonetheless, you get 3 Tomb Raider games and some DLCs, which I really don't care about. I think they're like skins. But if you want like an action adventure type of game, with like a story, I mean, this, I wouldn't say it's anything like revolutionary, but it's like Tomb Raider. I don't know. I enjoyed it when I played the series. I think I bought the first one when it was on sale, and then it's like, oh, I had a good time. Let me buy the second one, and then it's, oh, I had a good time. Let me buy the third one. It's just like if you want like a story rich third person puzzle shooter stealth. It's got like a little bit of everything. It's good. It's solid.
Cool. I think the last time I played a Tomb Raider game was on PlayStation 3.
I was gonna say the original one.
Well, I played the original one on the original PlayStation, but um, I think it was actually more like I think it was my dad who played actually. Like I think we like rented it. This is like showing a proper age. It's like we like rented it from the video and games shop or whatever to like play
Mm.
through that, and he got frustrated with it. Like I can't remember. I was quite young then. Maybe it was before PlayStation. Maybe it was a different version. I don't know. Not sure. Anyway, I haven't played a Tomb Raider game for years, for many years.
Yeah, I remember playing the original PS1 version for like little bits and pieces, but I was so like young and so like clueless. I was just like, I just remember water and like swimming around and trying to like do that, and that was like really challenging, and like the
Yeah.
jumping stuff was really weird. But yeah, good times. Next up, indie games, I think. Yeah. A Lockdown Protocol. This is a indie Among Us first person S game, I think, is the general gist. I'm gonna be
Mm.
honest, I don't really know a lot about this, but I have some friends that I think this could be one of these like, group friend games that could be a lot of fun. But, you do puzzles, it's essentially Among Us, social deduction, but there is this one
In
clip
3D.
I saw. It just stuck in my mind for some reason, and it's like someone's like, "Oh, I got a gun," and it's like a revolver, and they're like talking to their ally, and it's like, and it's got one, two, three, four bullets, and then he shoots and kills the person right in front of him. Oh, now it's got three bullets, and then another person's running by like, oh my god, and they're like chasing them and shooting them. Now it's got two bullets. And apparently they're the imposter, if you will. So I don't know why the clip is just stuck in my brain. It's like YouTube recommended me it or something. I have
Mm.
no idea how it came across my feed, but yeah, Among Us. Yeah, HyperDemon. Okay, this game is wild, Giga. So
I've never heard of this.
I know I got one of this from a YouTuber, and it is pretty cool. So a very wild looking art style. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like ethereal, almost like pixely, but very like
Mm.
um what's that thing where I can't remember, but chromatic almost. But anyways, this game's wild, and I know it looks wild, but essentially what they done, this is kind of genius. It's like, how can we make a game where 360 combat is like what it's all about. And like what they wanted to do was like map 360 vision onto your
The
monitor.
screen?
Yes.
Okay.
And they tried that, and because the FOV was so extreme, the edges were just
Hmm.
like it was just way too much. So instead what they did is they divided it by half and then overlapped them on top of each other. And so I I know it sounds crazy. One color palette is like what's in front of you. The other color palette is what's behind you.
What?
I know, it's
Is this for
crazy.
like, I'm like watching the video and I'm just like, I have no idea what's happening.
I know. So like
I,
I think
it's like a fever dream on the screen.
yeah,
What?
yeah. So I'm trying to remember. I think flashing red is behind you. And so you basically have to like turn your camera until because the red object will move and then it'll come into view and it'll change color to like orange or whatever. And then
Okay.
now it's in front of you. But this is like a arena in 3D. I don't know. This game, like, I want to try it just because it's like so, uh,
Different.
yeah, so different. So like, I don't know. Like someone really cooked hard here. You know what I mean? Like this is one of
Yeah, I
these
don't know how.
cooks.
In what way though?
Exactly. Like, I just want to try this and see how much of
It's
like
so surreal.
a mind bending experience this is. Like, is this actually something, or is this just like gimmick? You know?
Alex in chat. How can we make a game that induces seizures in everyone who plays it?
I mean, it's like I don't know if I would really say seizures. It's just like I unintentionally took like a whole swig of like, or these actually don't take swigs of acid. I don't know what you do with acid.
Yeah.
Tabs of acid. I don't know.
We're not cool people, okay?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like this is crazy looking.
Is it one of those things? This is the thing that's intriguing me about it. It's like it's one of those things where, like, if you play it a bit, and presumably it doesn't just like throw you in straight away, but it's one of those things where, like, if you learn how the mechanics of how it works, you'll be able to like actually interact with the game and play it, right? And I'm sure that
That's the
will.
hope. I
I'm
can't
sure it
say that for
become.
sure.
I mean, it's got really good reviews,
Yeah.
so
I'm very
It
intrigued.
just
Like,
it looks crazy. It just looks
yeah,
so crazy.
I'm gonna have to play this one and report back on it because it definitely seems like something that I would like to, at the very least, try.
Hmm.
Next up, in the Wrath, Aeon of Ruin. This is like your classic Quake boomer shooter brought to you in the modern-ish era. If you really liked these types of games, want to play something, really good reviews, pretty cool graphics. Like it still kind of has like a little bit of that classic feel mixed in with a little bit of the new. I think there's some interesting movement stuff. So if you're a bit of a movement gamer, it might be something for you. But yeah, this is a game. Like I said, if you like that type of like classic boomer shooter style, you'll probably like this game. And it's on
Yeah.
sale for in the States, 70% off, $6.
Yeah, it looks like old Quake, old Doom 95 had like a baby
Yep,
in 2024.
exactly.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure it's got like something story related, but overall, it's going for more of the boomer vibes. Speaking of boomer vibes, Sprawl. You can tell my taste and preferences. Another FPS, kind of a semi-retro feel, more cyberpunky, less retro graphics. But if you want something a little more modern, but still kind of keeping that boomer shooter vibes, like your classic arena stuff, but you got some newer stuff like wall running, um, slowing bullet
Hmm.
time, etc. Yeah, pretty good reviews on this game as well, and it's 50% off.
That we love the Steam sale.
That we do. I mean,
That time
God,
of year to fill our Steam library with games we're never going to play.
every time they get me. I mean, some of these are crazy. GriftLands. This is a deck building roguelike where you negotiate, fight, steal, or otherwise persuade others to get your way. This game, I really like the art style. It's kind of almost like Saturday morning cartoons, like
Hmm.
kind of like early 2000s. Um, and yeah, this is like similar to Slay the Spire. You, um, kind of like go through dungeons, etc., build your deck, but there's like some elements of like I'm trying to remember. I think it's like not social, but maybe it's more like political. Where you sort of like negotiate and yeah, like I don't know. I had to like thoroughly look into it because I had this game some time ago and saw it was on my sales, but 60% off. You can get it on Steam for around 8 USD if you like
I,
deck builders.
I keep playing like random music and stuff on stream because apparently the Steam sound has nothing to do with it actually playing in the store. You have to mute the client web helper, not Steam itself. So apologies for everybody random blasts of
Hmm,
bits of music from random games. Whoops.
that's good to know, though. I did not know that.
Yeah, you were what you just mentioned Slay the Spire, and then you reminded me of Balatro that like people keep telling me to play and that I haven't played yet.
Yes, that I didn't know enough about it, but that is on sale, not for much, if I recall. Like
It
here,
looks like 15%, but
yeah, it's a newer game, and but I've heard
yeah.
really good things about it. So like, if you don't really care about sales, definitely snag that one. Inscryption. Have you heard of this game?
I've heard of this through Veritas.
Okay, yeah, I thought
He
I thought
highly
I
rates
remember
this game.
him talking about this game.
I've not played it though.
What do you have to say about it? I'm curious.
He just said it was the game that you start playing is not the game that you play at the end. It's basically the deal. It develops over time as time has gone on. So the thing about like games and recommendations is that given that V recommended it, I know I will like this. Like in the past, so he recommended like we both love Subnautica. He recommended, oh god, what's it even called? The one with the space exploration one. I can't remember what it's called now. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But
Solaris.
No, it was a single player one.
I think I
God,
know
what's
what
it
you're
even
talking about
called? I can't
though.
remember now. Yeah, when you play as the little aliens, you have to go out in space and like explore stuff.
Oh.
Um, and I picked that up. I thought that was insane. And we've obviously talked about Factorial, and he'd love that. And he's playing that at the minute on stream. He's actually now played more than I have, like to date, because he's playing like 14 hours a day. Because you'd love that. And this, I know coming from him, I know I will like this. And also, Blatcher actually is another V recommendation. But yeah, apparently this game's crazy. This Inscryption game.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely want to try this one as well. Okay,
It's like another
so
card type one, I think, as far as I'm aware.
yes,
Sort of,
yes.
like partly at least.
Yeah, it's yeah, that's the vibe is like, but I think it's without spoiling too much, I think that quickly changes, it's a story. It's kind of a
Yeah.
little spooky, creepypasta vibes to it. But very, very cool game nonetheless. Ooh, guess what? Freaking tabs. Slime Rancher. These are going to be the next group under $5. This game is currently $2, 90% off. If you want to just like have a cozy game, just to like turn your brain off and chill, vibe out, maybe get some friends, definitely recommend checking out Slime Rancher. Probably gonna beg all my friends to get this game so we could play. Actually, I don't even know if you can play cooperative. No, it's just
What?
single
How does it? What is
player.
it? Like, how do you? What is the deal?
I didn't know that. Essentially, you collect slimes and you
Okay.
build stuff. There's like base building. You're like it's like as if you're a farmer of slimes,
Hmm.
and they're just like these little cute little
Okay.
blob looking things. You got like a slime gun that like sucks them up and spits them out. Like, I don't know. I didn't realize it was. I thought it was cooperative, but apparently it's only single player. So,
Oh,
kind of a bummer. You could, I mean, you could play the demo for free and just see if it's something you might like. But it's only $2. I feel like it's if you're tacking on a bunch of things, might as well tack this on. Talking to myself. Darkest Dungeon. I have this game. This is the first one. There's a second one, but 92% off. $2 here in the States. Insane value. Very good game. Dungeon crawling, 2D party, turn-based strategy game, managing with like a hub world. You got to manage characters and basically manage everyone's sanity levels. And very, very good game. Very solid game. Like, yeah, if anything for roguelite as well. If anything, those buzzwords interest you, is like definitely grab this game.
it's one of those I hear about, you know, in the background every now and then. There are people playing it and people liking it. I've not played it though. I wonder, is it some of these things? You know what they almost for me they almost need like a rating of like how what kind of game is this? Is this a 200-hour game? Is this like 15-hour game? Like I'd kind of like to
Mm,
know. Can you experience most of the stuff in a certain period of time? That would actually be interesting for me.
yeah, I mean, I feel like specifically with that game at the very least, it's one of those where it's like as much time as you want to sink
Mm.
into it. Why didn't this link work? Oh, it did work. Okay. Your only move is hustle. 20% off, not that much, but $4. This game is wild. So it's like stick fighters,
Hmm.
and it's it's kind of hard to describe, but it's a 2D fighting game, but it's not action focused as I recall. It's actually turn based. And how it works is like you queue up everything in like slow motion, and then you like hit play, and then like you get to see this really cool fight happen. I don't know. I believe that's the general design of it, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe, yeah, it is co-op, online PvP or single player. Um, but yeah, I remember hearing about this game. I can't remember, probably from a YouTube video as I do, and it sounded interesting. And for a couple of bucks, maybe if I convince a friend or two, it could be fun.
That seems kind of cool. I'm kind of intrigued.
Yeah.
Just
Unfortunately,
looking at the way it works as well. It's like though I like the graphics, like very basic, like old, very
yes.
old style, like 2D, no 3D rendering kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like something that you might find on like one of those like game websites back in the day, like Java
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like Flash Player websites. The Last Case of Benedict Fox, Definitive Edition. This is a narrative game, side scroller, but it is Metroidvania esque. Lovecraftian is kind of the thing. You kind of got like a noir type occult kind of story. I believe there's like, kind of this mechanic where you can shift into different worlds or something, or like the demon blood and etc. I don't know. I've heard very good things about this. It's kind of like um not as mainstream per se. Like it's not got like, mainstream recognition, but it is on sale currently 85% off for $4. And I don't know if you kind of like honestly, it's kind of one of these things you gotta see and be like, huh, I like how this
Hmm.
looks. What's the gameplay like? And if you kind of like that type of game where it's, uh, kind of like, well, I guess like just, yeah, Metrovania esque, um, kind of action platformer, side scrolling. Yeah, you'll probably like it.
Cool. Cool.
Did you ever play Kingdom Come Deliverance?
No.
Well, now's your chance. 90% off. For $3 USD, you too can play Kingdom Come Deliverance. I played this game for a bit. I didn't really get. I actually found this game to be kind of like, I don't know if I would say like challenging or like boring or what the exact word I would use, but it was like, and challenging in the sense that it's kind of almost like technical. Like it's okay, so it's an open world story driven RPG, and it's like very like driven in the time period and realism almost. Um,
Hmm.
and because of that, like the RPG systems are like kind of like have a lot of meat to them. It felt like I'm trying to remember. It was something like, oh, I sleep better at day or something, and I have like these trade offs and etc. But it's just like it was just very, it had a lot of meat to it. It wasn't simple, and you could kind of like play it two different ways. You could, you know, use the fast travel mechanic, which was like not really cheating because it's like built into the game, but it cost,
Hmm.
certain resources. Like I don't know. There's there's definitely, and graphically speaking, like it looks really good. Like I'm watching here in
That look quite good.
the
This single
footage.
player, right?
Single player, yep, yep. And this is I forget the exact time period and location, but it is definitely based in um a lot of history because they were very proactive, and one of the things they want to do is tell us very specific part of history. So yeah, if you like medieval knights type of stuff, RPG gameplay, sword slashing, and the combat was like pretty good actually. You could like attack and move it from a certain direction, and that's how it would do. Like it had a lot to it, I guess, and maybe for me that was just too much of a new experience for me to really enjoy. But
Hmm. Yeah,
bit of a
maybe I'd like a
skill
bit more.
issue.
Have you ever played Mortal?
Yes.
Yeah, so like Mortal kind of like ruined most other sword games for me because the system is so like it's actually crazy how a game like that works from I mean it's different right if you're playing single player, but like Mortal's strange because it's got exactly that right. It's like blocking in different directions, it's got timing, it's like it's almost more like a fighting game in some ways than anything else,
Oh
like
yeah.
reading people's intentions and whatever. But it's so crazy how you get a game like that where in a shooter it's like just about who sees who first and then aiming skill. Like Mortal, because it's so about like blocking and parrying and like all these specific things you can do with the certain mechanics. It's like it's mad that I got a friend who's just played a lot of Mortal, and it's he's shown me, and it's like almost a bit like chess in some ways, right? You've got like the various skill brackets that people are in, and if somebody's like just a bit better than you, like you just never ever win. It's like it's one of those crazy games where like the skill threshold is like
Yeah.
so brutal. Right, it's not like in an FPS, you're not necessarily as good as someone else, and like they'll win overall, but like you will get some kills on them, whatever. It's like if someone's like enough of a chunk better than you at Mordhau, you just never ever, you just cannot kill them. It is impossible. It's impossible to kill them, and it's so I always find those games really interesting. Where like they're designed in such a way, maybe by accident even, where that the skill threshold is like so binary that you just can't ever win.
Mm.
But anyway, that game's kind of like ruined a lot of other sword play games for me because a lot of them don't quite match up to the way that Mortal is, right? It's like
Yeah.
very, very fair, very, very, very interesting. I wouldn't say necessarily fully balanced because I'm not sure how many people are actually playing now. Like Mortal's population is like very small now, but I know it's got one of the best, sword orientation control systems out there. But no, it's interesting. I mean, this actually looks pretty good if you're looking for an RPG.
Yeah. First person too. Yeah. It's one of those games that I actually need to go back and play. It's like I played it for a couple hours or however long, and it's just like one day I just like put it down. Speaking of
Yeah, that happens to
games
stuff.
to go back and play, did you ever play Half-Life?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, Half-Life 2. I've not played the original.
now's your chance. Black Mesa Definitive Edition. This is a game for $5. It is essentially the Half-Life 1 story remade. Well, I don't know about nowadays, but I believe at one point it was essentially remade in the Source engine. I'm not sure now that they've like basically have their own studio, like legitimate studio. Like they're already working on a different IP, like their own separate IP. But this has Valve's blessing. All right. And yeah, you can experience the OG Half-Life in the modern era, which is like poggers.
That's
Chat.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I
I have
did.
a friend who had it, and I've seen a little bit of it, but I never actually played it myself.
Oh yeah, I did play this back when it was like a mod slash demo. But I don't. Yeah, see, I don't think I actually owned the game. So, and back then they didn't have all the levels fully completed. Like, I don't think I ever played. Like, I definitely didn't play Zen because back then they were like that was their big conclusion was completing the Zen levels, and they kind of were like expanding upon that because in the development of the original Half Life, the Zen levels were not done as well as they would have liked to. It was kind of like a, I wouldn't say last minute, but yeah, there was just things they would have definitely changed. Or maybe it was last minute, but so yeah, if you're a Half Life person or not really, like this the Half Life games in general series, like phenomenal, phenomenal. Like basically every first person game that has any amount of like storytelling has like derived from Half-Life. Like they took direct notes from how to do storytelling in first person games. It's very, very good.
Might be worth checking out.
Okay. So I think that's most of the stuff. The final one, this isn't gonna be any games on sale, but instead I'm just gonna list off rapid fire games to wish list. Agent 64, Spies Never Die. You like GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64?
I was gonna
Here's
say this looks like
nostalgia.
that. Yeah.
This is nostalgia for you. 2025 release date. Dune Awakening, online co-op. Apparently, this has got like an extraction mode, third person. My friends, like one of my friends, is all about this. He's like super hype, like constantly following the devs. It's on my wish list. 2025. We'll see. I'm not really expecting. I don't know what I'm expecting, but we'll see. MMO extraction third person shooters is my understanding. Another one to wish list, Road to Vostok. I played the demo not too long ago, which is pretty cool to see. I mean, definitely I don't know the most latest demo. I think AI was definitely in the works, like improving that. But
Mhm.
very like Tarkov single player vibes. It's got they not too long ago switched from the Unity engine to the Godot engine, and then like using that, porting things over, and then also just working with the new tools. I mean, I haven't seen this footage. I don't think in a while. At the very least, this might be new footage because I don't recognize some of the stuff. The trader menu looks about the same, but yeah, if you want some Tarkov single player vibes, definitely a game to keep an eye on. Bloodlines, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Have you played the first
Nope.
one? Okay. Yep. RPG, third person, like pretty critically acclaimed. More of like a cult following type of vibes. But yeah, there's a second one coming out. I will definitely be playing this game. If you like Cyberpunk, Witcher, according to Steam, they'll say you like this game. So check that out, add it to your wish list. And I know you know this game, Slay the Spire 2. It's coming out
Indeed.
2025. I want to play
I
it.
played some Slay the Spire. Like I'm the card builder games. I am, you know, I like them. I mean, in fairness, I played 95 hours, so I played like decent amount of Slay the Spire one. I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't say that I necessarily was like the best. I can't remember. Did I? I think I beat the main part. I can't remember how far I got, but yeah, it's hard. It's quite hard.
Yeah. Um, and then lastly, where's it at? Oh, here it is. Lastly, so that's kind of it for Steam stuff. Sale. But I did want to say, speaking of Half-Life, um, I have been watching. Do you know Two Clicks Phillips? Three Clicks Phillips?
Yeah,
Forget which one is his actual name. I think it's Two Clicks. But anyways, he's been posting Half-Life 2 dev commentary videos because Valve has like celebrated their 20 years of Half-Life or something, or Half-Life 2 rather. And so they made like a developer commentary integration to the game, and I've just been consuming that through Two Clicks Phillips. And I was like, oh, you know, I like Half-Life, this is cool. And then I remembered, it's like, man, I kind of want to play, Half-Life 2. Because I remember, it's funny because I played Half-Life 2 on the Xbox, the OG Xbox, I'm pretty
Ugh.
sure. I know. And I
That's weird.
remember, yeah, I mean, I was like, God, I was probably in like ninth grade, maybe. Um, and it was like, this is like a couple years out afterwards. And I just like had this copy of the game. Like it wasn't even an orange box, it was just like the default copy. Like it's probably one of these bargain bin things that my parents got me, and I just remember having this game, never played it, and I was like, let's play this. And I had a neighbor went to the same school, but he would do carpooling on like certain days. So he would like come home, and then we would just like sit here and play this game, you know. And it was so fun because the story just like unfolded, and I was like, wow, this game's like really good. And it's just like this crazy bargain bin game, it's like never would have, like, this is my like one of my earliest exposures to Valve, basically. I guess technically
Yeah,
Half-Life 1, I did play that at a young age on my dad's PC. I remember playing that, and I was just
they weren't in
terrified.
like they weren't in like full Valve mode yet though. Then, like I think Half-Life 2 is kind of like the beginning because I
Yeah,
think
that's
most of
true.
us played Half-Life 2 because I don't know whether it was I think because Orange Box was a bit later. I think because Half-Life 2 you got free with Counter Strike Source. I think,
Okay.
or the other way round. I can't remember which. Maybe you bought Half Life and got CS free. I don't remember which way it was. It was one
Mm-hmm.
or the other.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think that's how all of us ended up with playing Half Life 2 in particular. And that was kind of the beginning of like Valve's sort of dominance, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
1.6 has been around for a bit, whatever. And then like when they moved over to Source, everything just went crazy.
Yeah, well, that's the interesting thing too, because they were at that time, while they were developing Half-Life 2, they were also developing Steam as like a,
Mm.
that's like and they were basically gambling because at the time no one did online content delivery like that. Like everything,
Yeah.
people were just like, "This is never gonna work. Like no one's ever gonna buy, games digitally. Like it's just not happen." Um, and then now, lo and behold, a couple years later, everyone's using Steam. But anyways, it's specifically what I'm talking about was I remembered there was this RTX remix for Half-Life 2, which is like NVIDIA's software suite that basically for like modders and etc. that allows you to like take some of these older Direct 9 or Direct 10 games, I forget the limitation, and bring them to the modern era with newer features, which like previously wasn't easy to
Mm.
do. Like easy is probably a bit of an understatement for my understanding. Like ray tracing, which is like pretty crazy. Like in some of this footage here for the video watchers, not only the model's been updated, this is like actual new assets, but then you got all these like modern features, real time reflections, global illumination, which I guess they probably had back then. But like shadows, especially like because back then it was like baked shadows, like on the map you
Mm.
just like paint, vertex paint shadows there, and that's the static. I mean, you probably had like some dynamic stuff, but not like everything is dynamic, right? But yeah, this would be something to add to your wish list. I don't know when it's supposed to be coming out, but they're working on it. The modding team slash whoever is in charge, and this is like after watching all this 2 clicks, videos of the dev commentary, it's like, man, I really want to play Half-Life now, but I want to play, I don't just want to play the in the current era. I want to play a remastered version. There's
Yeah.
something about
I,
that I really like.
I swear I've seen people, there's like more people playing Half-Life 2 or going back to play Half-Life 2 who haven't ever played it. I've like seen stuff popping up recently about that as well. I can't remember who it was who's talking about it on Twitter and basically saying like watching somebody else play Half-Life 2 for the first time and just being like, I can't believe that they had the physics engine like that. Like
Yeah,
back then, When was it
it's
actually
very
released?
impressive.
It was released in November 2004.
Yeah,
So people are like, yeah, it's 20-year-old engine, and it's like, the physics puzzles involve like floating barrels and like ramps and all sorts, right? And it worked really well back then.
yeah,
Um,
and the characters too, like
yeah.
they were and like fully animated animations. They had like this cool, proprietary logic where it was like they would look at you and look at certain things, and I had like all this
Mm.
like I'm trying to think like what else was like around that time, like 2003. I mean, like Halo was more like 2001, but like yeah, you didn't have anything like you could pick up and like yeah, I mean the physics was just so good. Like honestly, if you haven't played Half-Life 2, like it's you got it as a first person gamer, like you gotta experience it. I feel like
This is correct. It's correct. I'm just like video games 2003, like popular games like Simpsons Hit and Run and like Knights of the Old Republic, one of the old Call of
mm,
Duty games, Jack 2.
mm.
Uh, what's there? Final
But
Fantasy X-2 is that era. Like Warcraft 3's expansion came out in 2003. It's like insane. Command and Conquer Generals was released 2003. My God. So yeah, it's around that time, right? There's like Deus Ex and a few other things that were released then. But yeah.
mm,
I mean, Half-Life 2 was like, it was just like next level, right? Like storytelling and graphically, and
yeah,
also being physics based the way that it was. Like insane.
yep, great game. All right, Steam is now banned.
Steam is that banned. Well, there's one game, Church. There's one
Okay,
one game that
I'll
is
allow it.
like it's I don't even know. So, I keep every now and then I bring up an old game that I used to play a long time ago, which was an MMO RTS. And I bring it up like maybe once every 3 months or something, because it literally lives rent free in my head for my entire life, and it will do until I die. Which was this Nexon game called Shattered Galaxy, right? And it was like this, RPG. Like, well, it's not an RPG. It was a MMO RTS. So you had like a collection of 6 units. There was a Chinese developer, making basically a clone of this game,
Mm-hmm.
and it actually is now on Steam. And they did do a demo apparently. And so the original game was called Shattered Galaxy, and this one's called Collapsed Galaxy 2. I don't know what happened to the first one. I think the first one they did some. I don't really know what they did with it, but they tried it first, whatever, and they've made a second attempt, and it's basically the same game. It's like a clone of it. But there was a demo out at the beginning of November, which some people played and said like, yeah, it's still early stage, whatever. And then they said, oh, we're taking the servers down for 7 days. Like I look infrequently at updates in this space to see if anybody's made anything similar. And they said, oh, we're taking the servers down. So this is like super recent news. We're taking the servers down for 7 days, working on some, issues and bugs or whatever. And then that's it. There's been no word. It's been a month, and people on the forums are just like, what's happening? Like they've not said, like the devs have not said anything. It's just like complete radio silence.
Hmm.
So it's like really, really strange. So maybe something will come out of this, maybe not. I don't really know. But the game is as carbon a copy as you can get to the original game, whilst in an updated engine of some kind. I don't really know what they're using for it, but it's updated in some fashion. But like I recognize, even from back then, I recognize the units, right? Like some of the sounds, maybe they need to change those. I don't know whether they might get like done for copyright or something, but some of the sounds are similar. The interface is very similar. It's very cool. So I'm keeping a beady eye out just to see what happens with this thing, because if it ends up actually being something real, it'd be crazy. Because when did this one get released? Yeah, so Shattered Galaxy was released in 2001, so it's like it
Is
was
it
very old.
Chatter's Galaxy or Shattered?
The original one was Shattered
Okay.
Galaxy, but Collapsed Galaxy 2 on Steam, which you can actually see the Steam page for,
Oh, you can?
has
Okay.
some like yeah, like it's on. It's actually something's finally officially arrived somewhere. And it does look quite rough, but it doesn't really matter at this point. But it says, yeah, planned release date 2025. But yeah, there's like the information cycle in this thing seems quite, I don't know,
Oh,
quite
wow. Okay.
slow. So we'll see. But it's like the idea is that you have like your group of 6 units or whatever. It's like a big rock paper scissors, really. It's a complicated rock paper scissors, and you bring like a group of 6 units in, but there's 20 different people per side, so you'll have like tens to hundreds of units per side of particular types, and you basically have to go and like fulfill the whatever role yours is, right? If you're like anti-aircraft, you have to make sure you're in the right place, covering tanks that don't have AA, stuff like that. So but the thing is, like, each individual unit, and normally you'll kit them out the same way, but like each individual unit can be modified in lots of different ways. It's like very complicated system for hull or shields, even like engine type, weapons, and that affects weight, and then depends on how fast you go and how much power you use, so it determines kind of the power source that you need. I think at the end of the video, I think there's like a tiny bit of like the menu system, I think, in here. Yeah, so it's like there's like hundreds of upgrades and stuff. So like if they've kept it the same as the original, then it's quite a cool system. But I don't know. We'll see. Nothing like it ever came out again. It's like really crazy. It's like really crazy. It's like that one game, and then that was it. So weird. So I'm keeping an eye out on this thing. We will see. Maybe it turns out to be nothing. Maybe they've gone bust. Maybe it's a scam. Who knows, right? Who knows? But
I've played a
it's
few,
been
or I say that.
been 23 years.
I have a few games, at least one game that's like this that I'm like following. That's like
Mm.
played it in many moons ago, and it's like, man, I really want to play something just like that again, but like new and fresh. Um, and yeah, there's like at least one project I can think of that's like doing something similar,
Yeah.
more of a spiritual successor than like a copy, a remake, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
a one-to-one
It's
remake.
one of those. It's one of those weird things as well, though, where it's just like, when you play the game 24 years later, you're just like, will I like it? Like, I have such good memories. Will I actually enjoy it, though? Because, a lot has changed since then. Like,
Yeah,
it's a long time ago. It's a long time ago.
yeah.
Christy in chat asked, "Did Giga play the Ant game? Do you remember the Ant game that we
I
talked about
do
before?" I
remember the
did
Ant game.
I did actually play the demo.
You
I did play the demo.
did? What'd you think?
It was okay. It
What
was
was it called
okay.
again? The
I
Ant
actually don't
game?
remember. It was called, what is it? Empire of the Ants. Yeah, I played the demo and it was all right. There was like a glitch really early on, which stopped me from speaking and like progressing further, which was really annoying. So that like kind of put me off. But it was okay. It
Graphics
was all right.
really impressive, I must say.
They were quite good, yeah. There's like an RTS game that you control ants
Huh.
in first person as an ant.
It sounds interesting. I really like the graphics though. The graphics are really appealing to me.
Mm.
Hyper realistic, but you're an ant. It's kind of neat. Yeah, I guess it's the combination of graphics and the perspective of an ant. It's really speaking to me. I will start
Yeah.
assembling the legions immediately, says the ant. Yes, Queen. Your wish
Yeah,
is my command.
it seemed all right. I didn't feel like super drawn in, so I kind of
Okay.
like played it a bit and then like didn't play it anymore. But it was like intriguing.
All right. I know I said Steam was banned, but I forgot I had these in a different window. Just quickly. Okay, there's only four. Just because rapid fire. Luma Island. All right. Cozy action adventure. It's not exactly cheap. $15 on sale, but I don't know. It maybe there's something cooperative you can play for friends. Chill game might appeal to you. No Sun to Worship. Indie game. Stealth action. I think this is kind of like vibes of Metal Gear, as I
Hmm.
recall from what I remember seeing. I can't say for certain. This is one of those games that I wishlist. I saw it on like some game dev indie developer thing, and yeah, very like Metro or not Metro. Metal Gear Solid. What's the first one? Is it Metal Gear Solid? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So if you like that kind of gameplay and art style, do something similar.
Looks a bit
Uh,
like Thief,
yeah. Did you play Thief?
the original one on. Yeah,
Yeah, I
like a
played a
little
little
bit.
bit.
Again, it was one of those ones like it's so old. So like we had it on our PC. I played a bit, and it was really like my dad had played a little bit. Like my dad like played like a bit of games here and there,
Yeah,
and that one kind of he was intrigued about that. But I think we were too young at that point, me and my sister, for him to want us to play like he said like it gets quite scary after that, and he didn't want us to play
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it.
That's relatable. Yeah, Call of the Lamb. Um, this
I've
one's
heard
got.
so much about this
I
game. They
know.
keep popping up on like social media and stuff all the time.
Yeah, yeah. This game, a lot of people really like this game. It is on sale, 50% off for $12. I don't even know. I don't even know what to say in terms of gameplay. Let's just say cute, furry sheep worshipping gods. Yes, I don't know. Sacrificing and worshipping. I don't know, occult stuff. Uh,
Cult stuff.
yeah. And then the last one, where did I got? Okay. And then the last one, oh yeah, this one I think you would really like, possibly. Teardown. Have you heard about this game?
No.
Okay. Voxel graphics, and I'll
Hmm.
say more about that, but fully destructible voxel graphics.
Okay.
This game for $15, 50% off. It is, I think, do they have multiplayer now? No, just single player. Okay, I thought I remembered them trying to work on multiplayer, but there's a big challenge there because, yeah, you have like so fully destructible environments using voxel physics and graphics, which is like, I don't know, think very detailed Minecraft. And
Yeah.
the So there is like real time ray tracing, I think, as well. But like this game originally was kind of like a tech demo, and then it like actually became a game, from my rough understanding. But the really interesting thing about this is like this is kind of a preview of the future because right now we're in like a polygon slash wire mesh era graphics where everything's like done by hand, so to speak. So like you make the fake virtual thing and then you assign fake virtual properties to it, which isn't that much difference from voxels. But the thing about voxels is like what we're seeing now is we can only really utilize voxels in a size that looks, retro-y, looks very like
Hmm.
blocky. But
Yeah,
the dream is in the future one day. It's like basically voxels will be like the digital atom, where you're just like
yeah,
things are composed of billions of voxels. And the unique part about that is now you like have physics properties and weight and values to the actual individual atoms, and it just it's kind of like it's kind of hard for me to wrap my brain around it, in all honesty. But it's interesting to see this because you're sort of getting a very, you know, very what was the word I'm looking for? It's almost like a 1,000 foot view or like 100 foot view. It's like
what this might be.
yeah, and it's very I don't know, it's just very cool with like how everything is like destructible. Like because everything
Yeah.
is real in the sense of the virtual world. Like I don't know, it's kind of hard to
Yeah,
contextualize,
it's
but
like you can't do this kind of like fully destructible environments and have everything be like super flexible in the current like asset model system.
yes,
It doesn't work very well. Like those things are kind of fixed. It's like, oh, you can manipulate them and move them for like, some kind of deformation where like person running, arms moving or whatever. But you can't have things be like fully flexible like this. Like, and you can assign these things properties in a more sensible way. Obviously, it's more computationally,
oh
I don't
yeah,
know,
that's the big trade-off.
intensive, depending on obviously how small you make these things. But you see,
Hmm.
like, the car with the suspension and all this kind of stuff, and you can have that be like real physics. It doesn't
Yeah,
have to be baked in any way. It can be like real physics. It just happens as a consequence of the things that you do. So I can see exactly what you mean. It's like at some point you won't have to make them that big. People will either come up with methodologies to make this stuff work at scale, and computational power will just go up. You may end up with a who knows? Well, you'll have a NVIDIA chip on there that just deals with like physics. Well, you remember like we had like I don't know, does physics still exist? Is that a thing? I remember that was on graphics cards for a while. Like had
yeah,
a
it's
physics
still
dedicated chip. Who knows?
yeah, it's still
That's still
around.
a thing. So yeah, stuff like that, right? Will just something like that will come up, and you could do more generalistic stuff. It just takes people to play around with it like this, and then someone say, how far can we actually take this? Like
Hmm.
how small can you make them? Can you make it not retro looking anymore? Because like everything like this ends up just like inadvertently looking like the Minecraft movie. It's like you start ray tracing like Minecraft style graphics, basically just what it looks like. But yeah, it's like, could you make a realistic looking thing where you don't even notice that it's a voxel based game that you wouldn't even know? Could you do that? Like, I think that's kind of the thing. Someone's got to plow ahead and actually, there's a lot of technology that would need to be
Yeah,
built for that because it goes against the grain of the current model. But uh, eminently doable at some point.
yeah, I might actually snag this. Because I remember I think I heard it again from Two Kicks Phillips, many moons ago,
Mm.
and yeah, this would be fun to experience. I feel like just to because I've played a few games that utilize voxels, but the way this is utilizing it, with like the graphics specifically, it's like at a distance, and if you squint, it's like wow, that looks really believable and good. And then you take a few steps forward and open your eyes, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is blocky, but I think it's cool nonetheless.
It's cool. It's cool.
All right, Steam sale concluded. That's it. That's it. Banning Steam for like 4 weeks at least.
Nah, the sale's good. The sale's always worth having a look through. I always just like looking through the 90%ers, you know. I'm just like, what's on offer? Because everything's so
Yeah.
cheap.
Yeah.
It's like, my goodness. I've definitely picked up a few cool things there. So yeah.
Have you picked up stuff?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. You haven't done your
Not
Steam
yet.
autumn shopping yet.
No, and I'm still some of the stuff I got last time, I'm still like yet to
I
play. I
know.
remember the name of the game, the space game Outer Wilds. That was what it was called.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
yeah,
got the
yeah.
I got the expansion for that,
Oh, did
which
you?
I haven't played. But apparently that's good. So yeah, I'll play it at some point. That's the thing, it's worth picking up because at some stage I'll go back and play this stuff. So I
Did you?
should check out. I should actually check for things that I was going to play, like the second like Subnautica Below Zero or whatever. Like I should check for those kind of ones that I was going to play eventually. Um,
Did you know you can filter your Steam library by unplayed games?
no, how'd you do that?
So if you go to
Oh,
your
there.
yeah,
Uh,
I have 67 games that are unplayed, Giga.
Apparently, I have 35, but a lot of these are things like Armor 2, Armor 2 Operation Arrowhead, Armor 2
Yeah,
Operation Arrowhead Beta Obsolete.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I've had my Steam account for a long time. Hell Let Loose, the public testing variant.
Right,
I've
right.
got, you know, like there's like loads of random stuff in here.
Yeah.
It's like the play tests and like other bits pieces. The test server for Hunt Showdown. You know, there's like a bunch of stuff. So there's probably not that much here that I actually haven't
Mm-hmm.
played like properly. If we got rid of all the testing stuff, I don't know. There's like not that much left. Well, what else is in here?
Okay, it says I haven't played the Talos Principle, but I definitely did play that game and beat it. So I don't know why it's like that.
Is
That
that a long time ago? Because there was once upon a time when Steam didn't actually track hours. That was back in the days of Crossfire, the instant messenger that predated a lot of other things that we used a lot. That used to track hours when Steam did not.
I'm not
And I remember there
sure.
was a certain point in time when Steam did start to track hours, and I think that was afterwards. So some of the things might say that. I don't know.
It
I'm
might have
not
just
sure.
been on another account. I do have like
Oh,
an
true.
alternate account. I'd have to like log in and see if it's there. But I don't know why it would be here, and I don't know. Something weird's going on.
Yeah. I fortunately only have one, which is nice.
Yeah, it was
I
my
wonder how old my Steam account actually
Smurf
is.
account for
Did you
Dota
even see that?
2.
Smurfing.
Yeah, I know. Shameless.
Shameless Smurf. I wonder if you
Ancient
can see how old
player
your Steam account is.
smurfing in ancient lobbies.
Yeah. Can you see how old your Steam account is? You can check your oldest activated game license. I can't be bothered. It's not that easy, apparently.
Yeah. So yeah, that's that.
That is that. Lots of different games. Seeing what's going to happen in the Tarkov land. Go enjoy the bosses. 100%.
You want to quickly
And
hear about a trackball professional gamer?
sure, why not? We'll have that to wrap up.
So I've been I consume a fair amount of Deadlock content, and
Mm.
especially a lot of the like educational stuff. And one person was interviewing a pro player. They're like, I think they're on, if not the one of the top EU teams. I mean, nothing's like, you know, when I say pro, I don't mean like, like they're signed or anything. It's still very early in the esports scene for Deadlock. But come to find out, the immediate thing you notice, because I guess they're playing footage from like their stream. He's playing on a trackball gig.
That's
Like
crazy.
just a straight up, it looks like a mouse, like a really big mouse that doesn't move, but it has a trackball, and he's just got like his fingers on there. He's just like playing. I'm like, what? And he's like the number one like carry player for EU at least, which is like crazy to me. And he plays like a character. He likes this character called Hayes, who's like traditionally like a very gun heavy character.
Mm.
They basically just their abilities. They don't really have like an ability build, which now that's kind of changed with the patch of last week. But that aside, I was just like, it's like first of all, it's like God, my dreams of being an esports player were just like flushed so far down the toilet so long ago. It's like I never stood a chance when the trackball gamer just got, you know what I mean? And then second of all, it's just kind of crazy because it's like that's how like apparently everyone's family uses trackballs. Like that's just how he grew up, and like
Oh.
he is like you know saying like yeah, you definitely shouldn't use a trackball. Like I wouldn't recommend it. It's not good. Like there is some interesting stuff. Like the verticality range is a little bit like there is a bit of an advantage there because you can just sort of
Mm.
like roll your hand forward. I don't know. It's like the depending on I guess it depends on how you like to play, of course, but because going horizontal with like a mouse is a bit easier than going vertical depending on circumstances, like especially if you're like wrist heavy, that's kind of awkward
Mm.
to go vertical. But but yeah, like and you can see like his aim is actually pretty good, but it's not like always precise. It's a bit like yeah, I mean imagine like you got like a ball that you're like a I don't know, I'm thinking of like some type of museum or some type of like science museum thing. It's just like a sphere that's like, suspended on more spheres and you just spin the sphere in place. It's a bit like that. So like you can see them like rotating around and stuff, but it's not, his precision isn't like pinpoint, but you kind of don't need
Yeah.
pinpoint because we're mostly just getting on target, pressing our abilities. It's a lot of like it's not down to the micro. The game isn't like determined by the micro game of you
Yeah.
landing headshots 95% of the time. It's really everything about the game holistically. But it's just interesting to see that like yeah, this is like possible and like he's a really good player because he's like everything else is like top notch. It's like you don't
Mm.
need to be, 95% aim labs, 1% player, aim labs record, whatever.
Quite interesting.
Yeah.
I found a way, by the way. My
Hmm.
Steam account is my Steam account is 2005.
Huh.
19 years of service.
Serving
It's the badge
proudly.
on your Steam profile called Years of Service badge, and it just tracks that. Member since the
Yeah.
29th of June 2005.
Well, let's see. How do I even go to my own profile, view profile? Okay. Let's see. Badges. Apparently 2008. No.
Mine probably was the Half-Life Counter-Strike bundle. I'm almost certain. I'm
Yeah,
almost
I'm not
certain
even
that was
sure
probably the
what
first
mine
game that went in
was.
there.
I used you mentioned Crossfire. I
Mm.
used Xfire. Is that the
Yeah,
same?
same thing. I always called it Xfire, and then somebody told me it was Crossfire, so I've called it Crossfire because like it makes a lot more
Okay.
sense than
Yeah,
being called
I
Crossfire.
guess that's why
But I
it's
called it Xfire
yeah.
forever.
Yeah, I did
Yeah,
too. I remember using
yeah,
that a lot, which I kind of liked it,
yeah.
if I'm being
That and
honest.
TeamSpeak.
Oh god, yeah. Ventrilo.
Yeah, oh yeah, and
That one was
Ventrilo.
so bad. It had like a 2-second latency. I mean, not really, but and the voice quality was like you're talking in like a
That's
toilet
the thing.
pipe.
Back then, everyone's connection was so awful that like
It's
these pieces of software are probably like struggling to deal with like everyone's like freaking modem, you know?
and I've had the security vulnerability risk. Like I was watching something about credit card theft back
Mm,
when the internet, the .com boom first happened, and like basically, a lot of businesses had Wi-Fi. Like Wi-Fi had just came out
yeah,
too. This was like I guess a couple years later. But like nobody had any encryption on stuff.
it's
So
just open.
these credit cards were just like phishing all of this, credit card information, and then they were able to get like not only information, but then like the proprietary information on the card, and then send that to like Estonia or wherever in like Russia or Europe, and then have them like make fake cards and then mail it back. So they had like this scheme. I was like, wow, this is like crazy. And then they were able to like get on TJ Maxx's. So they like at first they were like sitting outside the local store, but then they got through the local store they got access to like the big server, and then
Right.
from the big server they got access to like the people that make the credit card machines. They got access to like their server, so like chain hopped off into. They were like so deep. It was just like this huge, yeah. Like I think it was the
Crazy.
FBI's most wanted hacker got caught eventually. That was a fun story. But yeah, all right. Long, a little bit of an extra cast there towards the end. I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Thanks everyone for tuning in as always, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye bye.